Alright guys, here's another rant, and this time I'm gonna have to make two parts to this. This first part will largely be a disclaimer. So first and foremost, please do not hate me. I know I'm posting this on Facebook groups, and it's about Facebook groups. So again, please don't hate me for this. This is just my opinion. At the same time, I'm not saying that all Christian Facebook groups are evil. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that if you're in a Christian Facebook group, you're disobeying church or you're avoiding church. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm not saying that if you're in a Facebook group that's Christian, or you're an admin or a moderator, that you're somehow doing evil. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is these Christian online groups can be very dangerous, and they can be very dangerous for a very specific reason. Now I'm going to talk about those reasons in a bit, but first I want you guys to understand, I don't have anything against the groups themselves. What I am against are the effects that these groups tend to have. There are just some things in life that tend to be more dangerous than others. So for example, alcohol is not necessarily sin, but it's more dangerous than compared to some other kind of substance, right? Or nicotine, or anything. There's some things in life, some hobbies, some activities that are just inherently more dangerous to the Christian spiritual life. And I think Facebook Christian groups can be one of those very dangerous, yet at the same time very subtle and even deceptive, not intentionally, but deceptive things in life. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I've noticed this phenomenon happening among a lot of Christians. I've seen a lot of Christians make one Facebook group after another, and they're moderators and admins of like a zillion Facebook groups, and they're all Christians. They all have the same people with the same similar content, with the same everything. And I'm not saying it's evil. I'm just saying be careful. Why? Now, here's what I really want to talk about. When it comes to Christian Facebook groups specifically, okay? Christian Facebook groups. I don't know about other platforms out there. I know there used to be Friendster, there was Christianster, but right now Facebook is like the hot thing, so that's what I'm gonna have to talk about. Christian Facebook groups. There's a tendency for people to kind of feel more close to the people on these online groups than to their local churches. And I believe the Bible teaches very clearly that we are supposed to be in churches that have what you call covenant membership or formal membership. If you want to learn more about this, please read the book 9 Marks of a Healthy Church. It's written by Mark Dever. Okay, 9 Marks of a Healthy Church by Mark Dever. Very, very good book. I highly recommend that if you want to learn more about what a healthy church looks like and what formal covenant membership looks like in the context of a healthy church. That's very, very good. Now going back, if you're not in a church that practices covenant membership or formal membership, then I would say that there is something that you might be missing out on for your Christian life and your spiritual growth. Now, when it comes to groups, many times here's what happens. I would push or assert that for Christians, your best friend should be in your local church. Again, so your best friend in life, your buddy, your BFF, your ride or die, you're gonna ride with you till the wheels fall off, those kinds of friendships, they should be in the same local church, and you're members of the same local church. That's what I would suggest, and that's what I would encourage, and that's what I think would be healthiest. And the opposite of that is when you've got best friends who are Christians outside church, but still Christians. And then the worst part of that is when you've got best friends who are not Christians. Obviously, they're not in church, right? So if you're a Christian, your best friend is not a Christian, then I would say there's probably something going on in your spiritual life that needs a little fixing. I'm not saying you're in sin. I'm just saying there's something there that might be a little amiss or a little extra biblical in your view of certain things. Okay, so if you want to talk more about that, you can always message me or post something in the comment below. But really, your best friend should be in your same local church and also a member of your same church. If you've got a best friend from a different local church, it's going to be very, very weird and very, I would say not very unhealthy, but it could be quite spiritually unhealthy for several reasons. I'm going to get to those, especially in part 2 of this video. But basically, my push is 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to talk about sanctification. I'm going to talk about submission. Then I'm going to talk about transparency and accountability, okay? If you've got a best friend who is in another local church, but you still meet and hang out and all of that, and you're both Christians, but you go to different churches. If you go to different churches that have different doctrinal beliefs or statements, that might sound very strange to me, simply because there's going to be so many things you're going to disagree on, and that's going to turn away your focus from sanctification to your doctrinal differences. That might not be very healthy, or it might not even make your sanctification progress faster than it could. Okay? Now, that being said, there's so much about that. Unequal yoking, not just unequal yoking with unbelievers, but it's possible for 2 believers to be unequally yoked. So a yoke is basically the wooden thing that you put in between 2 beasts of burden, like 2 cows or buffaloes. So where one goes, the other also goes. If one is, for example, one is Calvinist, one is Arminian, when it comes to your sanctification, you're going to say, the Calvinist will say, God is sanctifying me because I know I cannot lose my salvation, so I am so humble and grateful that I would obey Him more. The Arminian might say, brother, you're losing your salvation, you're going to lose your salvation. And so the Calvinist's motivation for sanctification has to do with gratefulness, while the Arminian, most Arminians I know, I'm not saying all, but most Arminians I know, their motivation for sanctification has to do with fear of hell, while Calvinists have a motivation based on gratitude for the assurance of heaven. Okay, so that's a generalization, I know, but that's because that's what I've personally observed. I'm not saying all Calvinists or all Arminians are like that, but you know what I mean, right? So when a Calvinist and Arminian are best friends, how are they going to talk about sanctification when they've got these core doctrinal differences that might get in the way of focusing on the sanctification side? Now, I'm going to go to part 2, and I'm going to upload this as soon as I can, but part 2 will talk about the other 3, specifically about social media and Facebook Christian groups. So I hope you guys stay with me. I hope this is going to be helpful to you.